Now I know there's no ads, so we'll just start straight in. Yeah, I don't know if anyone really wants to is following along, or whether you've got projects happening, or whether you're just putting this information away for later, or whether you've actually had a bit of a play, or what stage you're at. But I guess the thing to do is sort of have a look at what I've been doing for the week as far as CAD work. Peter, g'day. William, Jim, g'day. So I guess you can hear me and see me and stuff. I've had a bit of a shuffle. Put my stupid face, which we don't really even need for this, but it sort of stops it being quite so boring, maybe. Hey, Mark. I put that up there out of the way, hopefully, and I've moved the names off here so we can actually see what we're doing. Hey, Leanne. But it's not Mark, it's Leanne. G'day. So I had a bit of a job. Anyone who watches my other stream will know that I've had these castings basically sitting on my bench for quite some time, half machined. We'll talk about these tomorrow night, but this is just quickly the finished ones. And they're a fancy profile. I don't know. Don't even know if we've got any. It says connections. I think we're back. It looks something like this. Left, which is on the engine. It goes in a round hole on the casting to keep the dirt out of the oil. It's really not a very complicated thing. And that's drawn up off the original. That's sort of how it looks. But it's much smaller. Tea and biscuits, good day. Much smaller than the ones we needed. 3 different sizes of them. So what I did was basically scale the dimensions up a bit. Kept things the same. But if we have a look, I've drawn a line here, and if we have a look at this sketch, basically I've gathered all these dimensions here and gone in 0.2 of a millimeter and machined into that particular dimension to give that profile, and the same on the inside. So that's a useful thing. What we ended up with was basically a cap that looks like this, or more particular, 2 caps that look like that. So that's how that was done. And the same with the valves for the Fowler engine. For the pump, basically the fancy profiles, and all I've done is sketch. And you can either write these down or you can put them on a table, cut and paste them into a spreadsheet, whatever you want to do. Probably if you're really smart, you could get the first 5 and then calculate the rest out. But I'm not that smart. You certainly could do that with these because that's a unit straight curve. And that's how I do them. But castings were cheap. That's one of the jobs I've done this week. Or, yeah. And that's how we did it. That didn't quite revolve properly. Because we've modified it that many times. And that's sort of what we ended up with anyway. So Asian sun hat, exactly. Probably a genuine Roby part from 1880. That's what we ended up with. So that's one of the useful things that I've done this week. There's work on the truck, but we won't go into that too much. There's also work on this. Very much a I think it will load eventually. Or it might not. It's been raining most of the weekend, which isn't much fun. Really not for a little bit done. Just wait for this to load. This is the assembly. This. Don't know if this is sort of where it's going to be, or even if this is going to be a thing, to be honest. But just to see how it looks, and it's certainly I don't know, it looks like something. But this is a Tasker or a Tasker low loader. And the 30 tonner, which is quite on a little bit. So how it looks, but crazy amount of CAD work involved in that so far. So just playing with that is probably be quite a good thing. I think the truck's a bit small, so maybe a ballast box on the back of the Foden, and probably a 4-wheel dolly or a bogey underneath with a drawbar, maybe. Still tossing up about that, but that's something I'm working on. I don't know if it's going to actually happen or it's going to be any closer to is ever going to happen. But anyway, on the left hand up there in the right hand corner. Sorry. Probably. It's a bit slow for some reason here. Probably because I'm streaming too. I think we're over that. In a minute, probably opening task afloat assembly was a bit much for it. There's a lot of parts in that. Here we go. So we had a look at Sketch. I guess we had a bit of a look at some of the Sketch buttons and toggles and what they do. We're streaming too. That's exactly right. Now, there's a few shortcuts, right? If we want to put a sketch on this front plane, right, all we have to do is click that front plane, right-click it, and it says New Sketch. And it'll automatically put a sketch on that plane like that. That's probably a quick sort of a shortcut. That would be normally how I would do it. Up till now, if we close that, I've gone to top plane here, right-click that and put a sketch, or I've clicked the sketch button up here, and then click the right plane that we want to use. So that's a smart way to do it. If you want to put a sketch on this, We'll put new sketch. There's a lot of shortcuts on this. Take care, William. We did talk about this. I mentioned I didn't know what it does. I think it's a very useful tool, and I've been using it quite a lot. So a little bit of homework. If you're not sure what something's about, there's always somewhere on web to actually find what it does. But that's the use button and the intersection button, which is kind of useful. Use button. You need two sketches. Let's start with a circle, right? You can just press C. You don't have to click on the button. It's called 200 millimeter circle. 200, like such. Click that. I'm going to put another sketch. Do it this way on the front plane. Right. But we've already sketched this out, and we've put another sketch on because there were another layer of features on here. Say we were making an actual shape, and then we wanted to put some text on it. We'd probably use another sketch so that we could just alter the other sketch without altering the whole lot. We use this use button. So in a new sketch, if we click this button here, that automatically puts that particular line or that particular feature on the new sketch. So what we've got now is two sketches that are identical. If we turn one of them off, see? They don't have to be even on the same plane. If you've got something that's, so you've got a shape. If we project this up, sketch 2, if we project this up here, let's extrude this. We call it a surface, new surface. We can't draft a surface. Let's make it a solid. Put 20 degrees draft on it. Get 100 mil long. To be able to undo stuff, and there's a Control Z shortcut that's very useful. Come on, wake up. It's going to ask us for the edges. Let's try that. And what it's done, for the purpose of it, it's given us a basically a bowl shape, right? Now, say we want a new sketch on this plane for some reason. Sketch 1's on there, sketch 2's on there. Is that what we want? Nope, we start a new sketch. We'll do this. New sketch on the front plane. It's the same. Now if we use this use button, we can select this top line. That's what I wanted to show you, right? And project it onto the other sketch, which is quite useful. If we click this button first, which is the, hey Mark, that sounds like fun. You can come and do mine if you like. If we click the construction line and then use the use, it'll put a construction line down. So it's kind of useful if you want to translate something or project something onto another sketch. It's a very useful button. That's what that does. Anyway. Delete that. So we went through these. I think that's the extrude button and this is the revolve button. So there's two ways of actually making this structure. If you've got a sketch on the, say, this is actually on the top plane, a sketch on the front plane. If you have a sketch on the top plane that's actually this shape, then we can revolve that round and get the same shape. So that's the two things there. And then the sweep, which, look at that, and loft, which pulls basically from one shape to another, or makes a space, fixes a space between two actual two actual shapes. As thicken and enclose, we had to look at those two. If we want to make, say, this edge here 5mm thick, or put a step on the bottom here, we can do that like this. You thicken, faces to thicken, and it's automatically 5mm. You got to select the other side, but you can add that in too. Select the merge scope and it actually brings it in. So that's something we can do. If you want to make this into a bowl, we can use this one here, which is a hollow or a shell function. Select this one. That image. That's hollowed that there, because this is actually, you can't undo or change. That's the thing. Faces. If we hollow this on this side, right, it gives us a bowl, just like that. We've got the hole function, which puts basically threaded holes and things, and other sorts of holes. We want to bolt this down in the middle here. We want to put this on a tripod for some reason. We want a popcorn bowl on a say we want a popcorn bowl that sits on top of a tripod, which is not a useful thing, but it could be if we use the hole function. Inch hole, drill size. We can go tapped hole, quarter UNC, which is Whitworth, quarter 20, same thread. Sketch points to place holes. Set that, or start from a sketch plane, or start from a part. Selected plane is probably good enough. And we select the top here that we want to make it go through. And let it work. It's much simpler than putting a tapped hole and stuff in. Let's do that, Tea and Biscuits. Let's do that next. So it's given us a red mark there, that red line, which means it's not actually intersecting with anything. If we turn that around, is something we do. One thing that we have got, you take care, Matt. Is that we've set this up on the front plane so that when we set this normal, it's this shape rather than vertical or horizontal. So it won't actually hold any water, and that's pretty useless. Very easy fix. If we go back here to sketch 1, I think it was sketch 1, when we didn't label them, we click edit. Yeah, we can close this and we can change the sketch plate to top. And because there's 2 different sketches, this one doesn't work either. So we're going to change that as well. So there we go. What we've done is set this up so that when it sits normally, you can actually hold it up. So feature scripts. There are easy ways to do this, and there's more complicated ways to do this. Tea and Biscuits suggested we make something out of washers, for example, which sort of works. Or to put a perforated pattern on it. There's several ways we could do that. This thing over this end here, which gives a list, should be. It's called Grid Extrude. Hold your mouse over it and it shows you basically what it does. If we click that, I've downloaded this from some creator. It's not actually it's not an actual official part of the program now. It will eventually become that, I think, if it's any good. Look at the bottom of this. But Grid Extrude is the answer. Go for a circle. Wait for it to do its thing, because streaming and CAD work don't seem to work hand in hand. Maybe I need Starlink. Maybe I just need to shoot someone. Click remove because we want to put holes in it. It's working. It's doing the thing. Anyway, so I hope everyone else has had a good Easter. I hope you managed to get as many very pointed words in over Easter to the Vice President of America as the Pope did before he snuffed it. Which was a pretty good effort. The last speech, you make it count. If that wasn't what you were doing over Easter, well, I hope you ate lots of chocolate and stuff. Come on, do the thing. Let's change this a bit so that when it happens, it happens. Not doing real well there. I'm back at work tomorrow. Very unimpressed about that as such. But that's how it is. Pete says, with the price of chocolate lately, not likely. It's very true. Tariffs, what it is. Come on, do the thing. Why is this deciding that it doesn't want to? Now close that and give up on it. Try again. Probably. Keep losing connection. They probably do, and probably you're only some of this. This is the way to have two internet connections for two separate things actually on. Mark's back at work too. That's a bit rough. You can press P as well. It does exactly that. If you want to turn all those planes off, press P. Anyway, let's try again. Parameter. Rectangle. If that's a thing. If I can actually do that, can I? There we go. We'll try that. It's back on. Why is it back on? What are we going to do? Give up at this is a bad joke. Microphone stopped. Seriously. There we go. That might be better. We'll turn chat back on. That's really probably going to turn this back on and see if this works. Does that make a difference to the mic? Yeah, it does. Why is it so? I think I'm back, aren't I? Has that changed? Fine, then I just stopped making noise. Don't know why that is. Yeah. Maybe. I'm back. Anyway, that's a bit about really what I want to do. It's not the album that we were looking for here. And messing around with that sort of takes the... But this is how I thought we could do this. Don't feel like we're achieving anything really as far as actual, like... actual, like, useful content. That's where I'm at with that. And apologies for that. But what we thought we'd do is revolve some balls around and array them. Like so. So we make a new ball, which puts it in as a different color. I think it's me. And circular pattern on the axis. There's two different circular pattern commands. One's for solids and one's for sketches. So, we do that in true TARDIS fashion. Tonight. Sorry, guys. Not having much luck with this at all. These are a bit small. For one, I'm a lazy teacher, and for two, I've got bad internet, and for three, we didn't really have a particularly strong sort of a plan for tonight. All I've done is change the diameter and the space of that wall. Clear the opposite. So I might give up on this. To be honest, what I've done is drawn a set of balls and put them around and basically remove one from the other. So you've got this quite pleasant sort of insight, but you need rows of them. They need to be staggered. So thinking about that, what we've got is a very interesting thing happening here. On the front plane, we're halfway between, the center line of the front plane's halfway between here. So the right hand side plane comes halfway across the holes, and the front plane comes across the center of the hole there, see? So for the next layer, we put a new sketch on the right hand plane like that, just by right clicking it and clicking new sketch. What we can do is go back to sketch, click copy sketch, go to this sketch and click paste sketch entities, and it does that. But that's not much use to us really, because all we've done is basically we've pasted the sketch. We haven't got any particular origin point. If we just close that, it won't save anything. And we can go back here to sketch 1 and edit it. We need to change our origin back here to the front. Sketch 2 is the one. So just so we start, here's a good tip. If we rename this top row, then we know exactly what it is. We can, and what we need is to put a dimension here from this center to this origin point. To this line, to this one. Right, I'm going to call that 100 just for the purpose of the act. Let's move that in quite a bit, so we might change that 102. There we go. Now, if we this sketch and we put a new and we can paste the sketch entities. This is what we need. Now, let's get on top of this, because I've lost my go here a bit. I had ideas, but what I've done is we've turned this at 90 degrees to the existing sketch, and right in here on the front, on the right plane. New sketch. And then we're going to paste a sketch. It is. Probably. Paste sketch it is. And for some reason, and it's done what it should have done. So if we move this point by using the center circle there, we can move it up there, and then we can move this across here. And we'll move this down to there. Right, let's put that in exactly the same place. Now, if we get a measurement here, move this, instead of 20 millimeters, we make it 40 millimeters. And this one, instead of 102 millimeters, and we make it, I didn't see how much that actually meshed in there. We're going to guess that and go 90. Way too much. We can do exactly the same again. We can revolve this one around this axis. For a new book. And we can do a circular array. Now, I don't think this is the simple way to do it, to be honest. I think there must be a much simpler way, and I know that if I mess with this at a half hour on my own, I'll find it very easily. I'm just messing around there, seeing what fits. I think there's a much easier way to do this, and I can't think for a moment what it is. What I've done is set them to be removed from the pattern rather than copy one hole and remove it and offset it. Yes. Copy the geometry and remove one hole and lower it down and offset it. It's not as simple as that because they don't exactly mesh if you do that. That works as such, but not particularly successfully. If we do it again on the front plane, new sketch, paste sketch entities. I can't undo the thing. Move that across to the center like that. Move this down. Oh, we go 60. Move that down to there and then change this one to 60. So do that same there, and then similar thing. I don't think this is a simple way to do it, like I already said. Straight up with. These are much too close together, but we can go back and fix that quite simply. These holes are much together, but are they too together or the circles too big a diameter? See if that fixes it. See, job's done. We'll do another row quickly. We'll do the same here again. We'll go 80 this time. Try this. Go with that. Probably not a great idea for anyone, actually, to be honest, if we're going to go there. I would have done this differently the second time round. So that's where we are with that, because this isn't working. Definitely would have done this differently the second time round without a whole lot of if I sleep on this for a night, I'll come up with a much better. But probably not really. Like the effort. Anyway, was going to go through all these buttons because we haven't even touched on happening. Fairly simple thing to fix though. To catch up because it's feeling a bit here. Let's start with this sketch. Let's work that out. See what that does. We get very close. Anyway, that's not how I do it. That's a very good example of how not to make that work, because it doesn't quite work. Progress on the fun stuff when we've got this. It's better. Shape here, see? Now it really wants, I guess, a flat bottom, which would be very nice. A couple of ways you can do that. We can just chop the bottom of it off and put a new piece in it, which kind of works quite well. Probably the easiest way is to go back here to our first sketch, sketch number 1, and edit that. Right. Run that across there. Press escape. Measure the depth you want it. So from there to there. So we want it 85 millimeters. Right. Get our scissors tool. Trim this one. This one. Now, we've got a lot of lines all in the same spot. We just drag that across there like that, and that trims them for us. Click sketch, fixed enough is that's a bit ordinary, to be honest. I reckon if we put a new sketch on the bottom here, well, why not just use, rather than sketch, let's just use the whole function. Drilled hole. We're working in metric, so we'll select metric here. And put it on that face. And we'll select here. Probably the easiest way is just to select the origin point. Can we actually do that? What we're looking for is a sketch point, so maybe that'll make things a little bit easier if we actually sketch this on here. Let's put a sketch. Straight on that face. Make this 30mm diameter. And if we're just doing it this way, if we're going to use the function, we probably want to sketch. But we might as well do all this while we're at it. A couple of construction lines. What we can do is put this here. And let's do it all the other way. We've got a sketch there. If we go whole now, this is probably the easy way to do it. We go metric hole when we're not dragging our drilled hole. Sketch points to place holes. We go. Vertex drilled hole. I don't think we're going to go 5mm. I think we're going to go 15. 1.5. I'm streaming. That function does not work at all. Let's just do it on the sketch. That's easy. more than one way to do most. Did want to use the strip, but we won't. Let's make that a construction line. And on here, 15 mil. And we'll do another hole here. Call this one 5 mil. We'll do here circular pattern, center point. So all we've got to do is right click that. So it's done. Click the extrude straight away. And remove. There we go. Folding patterns. So that did actually work. And there's more than one way to do that, but you should be able to do it very simply with the hole function. And you should put threaded holes in there and all those sort of things for it as well. On this part, we want to use that sketch again. So we're going to copy that sketch. We're going to make another part. Create a part studio. Here's a blank one. So you should wonder why, because honestly, over choppy tonight. New sketch on the top plane. Right click and paste sketch entities from the other sketch. Now this needs to be on the center here. Then we use the arrow to move it till it clicks in place. And that's origin point. When it clicks in place on the origin point, will turn orange. Right click that, we've got that already. Put another circle on here. And we're going to put a circle in the middle. And we're going to call that 1/4 inch. It already pops up with a there we go. It's telling us a formula derived, but 6.35 millimeters. If we extrude this, four millimeter that way, a second end position, and make that. Let's make that 6 millimeters that way. So we can offset that different length either way. If we look at the front face here, it gives us a different offset. If we click symmetric, it'll put the same distance each way, but half the distance. So this is actually adds millimeters and then click symmetric. It'll have 5 millimeters each side. Click that. And of course, it's automatically hidden that sketch. So extrude it again. and click that one. Okay, just why did it do that? Good question. We want to go the opposite direction, I think. It's probably the easiest way to put ISO standard thread in these 4 holes. Or 3 holes. 5x1. That's not an M5 thread, is it? Let's go 0.8. That's not right. 0.8. That's a metric thread. So they're threaded. One of them is. We might have to do that separate for each. Anyway, interested to see who's watching because I'm over by now. We'll put another thread in this one. M5 or 0.8. This one, what thread was it? This one's wrong. It's probably the right thread and probably screwed together, but it's given an imperial American National Institute thread, you see, whereas we go ISO. Millimeters. Rather than 31 3/4 threads per inch, it's 0.8 pitch. The middle one, of course, is a bit different. The middle one was 23 centimeters. We need to work that out, of course. 25.4 divided by 20, 1.27. 1.27. We can, of course, change this to different dimensions. Or often unfinished. So a couple of features up here. We click that one, which I want a 5mm chamfer, we just want a 1mm chamfer. One millimeter each side, and like that, and the same on this one. We probably go 0.6 or something on this one. We can right click this. Like, if we want to say anodized, nice anodized purple, this bit. It's got a machine face on here, so we can right click this face and add appearance to the face. And all we've got to do is, it's easy to change one face then. We can change that to silver. There you go. So in our assembly, which is down here on the bottom tab, we come up here to insert from our current document. Insert something from another document if you like. That'll insert that straight on the origin if you don't move off there and start dragging it around. If you do move off here and start dragging it around, say like that, the origin point's here. When you move back on here, it'll go straight back onto the origin. So we can right click that. What you've got is that this part's upside down. I don't know if anyone noticed that. Same little, we use this circle here and come around 180 degrees. And that just turns it over. Now this part we don't want to move, so if we go over here and right click, we can click fix, and then you can no longer drag this around. It's fixed on the origin point as part of it. Let's insert the other part. Right. Now this wants to attach to this with a fixed mate. Fairly straightforward. If we click fixed, rather than move it around and try and make it line up, with a fasten mate or a fixed mate, we can use this to find the place we want to line that up, or the mate, and we can do the same with this one. And that lines up exactly. Holes and everything. These are threaded, of course, M5. And we can insert from here standard content. Maybe we don't want slotted head screws, do we? That's a bit boring. Let's go with slotted head screws or socket head screws. M5, 8mm long. That sounds about right. But heads a bit better. And we can use this here. And basically, we've got it all together now. These come with their own mates, so it makes it very easy to actually line everything up afterwards. So there you go. We got there in the end. It's not a particularly pretty thing, but we did get there in the end. We've got it. It's nearly 2 hours, guys, and it's way too long. We're going to have to sort of condense this a bit, not do quite as much at a time, because it's really, you haven't learned a lot, and I haven't really. Anyone who stuck it to the end, thank you. I don't know who you are, but that's what we got. I don't like this pale blue, so I'm just going to change that once before we move. Going to edit our appearance here. And might as well make it like that, and we'll change this. We've got here on this side an appearance table, which gives us it's particularly useful to anyone. If we go back to our assembly, that's what we've got. So a useful part, I guess, and half. It looks like it's and it is sort of half presentable, and it looks sort of half finished. And you would other ways that I would do this. I think, just thinking back on it now, there are other ways I'd make this work, probably with much less effort. I don't know. It'd be a total waste of time. And if it was, I apologize for the 2 hours you'll never get back. But let's try and condense this a bit next time and get some useful information in there. We will get better at it, promise, maybe. Anyway, I'm out. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, and be kind to each other.